One of the interesting things about Jesus is that he is the most, famous person in the history of the world. And so one of the things that means is that a lot of people have their own ideas about who he is, what he came to do. Your friends got an idea, your grandmother does, so forth and so on. Here's what Paul says in 1 Timothy 1. He says, "Here's a trustworthy saying that deserves full acceptance. Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of whom I am the worst." He says he's the worst of sinners, and that the very thing Jesus came to do was to save sinners. So here's one of the things we get confused about. One, we think Jesus came for all these perfect people who have it all together. That's not what he did. Or maybe we think, he can save sinners, but not people who are really bad sinners, right? We like things in moderation, so, we like spicy foods, but not ghost peppers. You put a ghost pepper in my food, then we'll have problems, We like skinny jeans, but not too skinny, or it gets a little weird. We like things in moderation. And so sometimes we assume then that Jesus saves, but he saves in moderation. Like he saves sinners, but not those sinners. They're the worst. And not those people who sell drugs, and not those people who are sexually impure. But what Paul is telling us here is that Jesus does not save in moderation. Jesus saves even to the extremes. So that Paul says, "In me, the worst of sinners, I was shown mercy," so that he can display his immense patience. The thing about Jesus is he has an immense amount of patience that he cannot wait to show off. And that he saves even the worst of sinners to show us that no matter how bad of sinners we are not too far gone. So if we're somewhere today where we think, you don't understand the stuff I've done, the things I've said to people, I want you to know you are not too far gone. No one's too far gone to save. The grace of Jesus goes even to the extreme.